All right, so today we're going to be talking to a success story who came through our program, who was in our private Facebook support group named Zoe. And I am going to admit, I don't really know much about her situation. So I'm going to be learning along with the rest of you as I just basically probe her for questions and ask to see what she did that worked versus what maybe didn't work. But first off, I just wanted to thank you so much for doing this. So you have no idea how much it probably helps people that are going through breakups. So thank you so much for coming on to the podcast.
You're welcome.
All right. So why don't you take me to the beginning? Like, why did you and your ex break up?
I don't actually know. He was at my house and we planned to go out the next day. And it was a stupid argument. I don't even know what it was over. And he just said, I'm going home, packed up his stuff and went.
So was he like living with you at the time?
No. So I live with my family and he lives with his. So it was just like staying over for the night.
Okay. Well, so you guys just have this argument and he just sort of leaves, no explanation. Was there, I mean, was it a breakup when he left? Did he actually say like, hey, we're breaking up? Or was it just like, I need to get out of here and just leaves?
It was just, I'm going home.
So
that was it.
There's like literally no hint at all that he's just broken up with you.
No, nothing.
Like the next day, do you try to get back in touch with him and say like, hey, I'm sorry about the fight or whatever?
So I waited 3 days. Whenever we broke up, he changed his WhatsApp picture back to a picture of him and his friend. So he did that and I knew something was wrong. So I sent him a long message, basically telling him that I couldn't fight for somebody who wasn't willing to fight for me because this wasn't the first breakup.
Okay, so this was sort of an on again, off again type.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. How many times had you broken up previously in the past?
About 4 times.
4 times. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've gone 4 revolutions of the wheel at this point. So This is nothing new to you. It's just sort of the latest time that you guys had broken up.
Yeah. So whenever we broke up, I was always the one who kind of begged for him back. I was always the one chasing him. He never chased me. So when I didn't hear from him for 3 days, I thought I kind of can't do this anymore.
You're fed up with the chasing. So you're just kind of like, that's it. I'm not fighting for you anymore.
Yeah. So I thought he may reply saying like, no, I love you. But no, I got I'm not interested. I don't like you response.
That always sucks. Also, it's untrue because now you have them back. So
yeah.
So okay, there's a lot to unpack here. Do you mind if I probe into why you broke up at the 4 previous times? Like, was it always around the same reason? Was it like some sort of jealousy on his part or on your part, or is it different reasons every single time?
The first one, we hadn't even been together that long, and we were in a shop. And I basically shouted his name and he didn't like that. He felt like I was embarrassing him.
For shouting his name? Were you shouting it in like a rude way or a playful way?
Like a playful way. I thought playful. We hadn't been together that long, so we didn't really kind of know each other that well. So I shouted his name and he told me that I was embarrassing him. So we went back to his house and I went silent. I didn't know what to say, didn't know what to do. And he was working night shifts that time. So he left a lot earlier than he usually would. He said, I'm going to work, which was my cue to leave. So he left, I left, and he texted me. Can't remember what he said. It was something along the lines of being stubborn won't work with me. Something like that. So I replied basically saying, no, we'll talk about this, tomorrow when we see each other. And it just spiraled into a breakup.
So that's breakup number 1. What about breakups 2 and 3?
So breakup number 2 was around drugs.
Okay.
Not me, him.
Okay. So
yeah.
So you were just like, I'm not having any of that.
So I said to him that if he did it again, that would be kind of me and him over.
Okay.
And he went and did it again.
Okay. And was breakup number 3 sort of a similar circumstance?
Yes.
Okay. And breakup number 4, the fight you had, was it about that?
No. So this was breakup number 4. This was I always say that maybe the other breakups were just breaks.
Okay. Just
this is a breakup.
This was this was a strong one.
This was
You-
6 months, yeah.
So the drug problem, has that been solved, or is that still an ongoing issue?
I'd like to say it's been solved. It's I'd say it's his friends who he hangs around with.
Okay.
And with COVID going on, can't see your friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as it sounds, that worked in your favor.
Yeah, big time.
Okay. So breakup number 4 happens.
Yeah.
And before you got back, so the drug problem, he hasn't been able to. So it's sort of like him just surrounding himself with the wrong types of people. Does he ever? Is he struggling with that still? Is that still like right now an ongoing issue with him?
So I wouldn't say he's got like a substance like addiction or anything. I think it's just when he's had a drink and he's with his friends and he just doesn't want to say no.
Okay. So you guys break up for the 4th time. What is your mindset, game plan, approach at that point?
I just, after he said he didn't like me, I went on to say, the typical things: you've never liked me, you've never loved me, just the usual kind of like guilt tripping stuff.
Right.
And I think after he'd said all the things he said to me, I just thought, right, okay, everything I've got of yours, because he did leave some stuff behind accidentally. So I thought, right, I'm just going to get it gone.
Okay.
Don't want it in my house. Like,
all right. So you're getting
if
rid
it's
of the
gone,
stuff.
yeah. So I went and dropped it off. I think I just left it by the side of his car. Came home and texted him again, just to basically say, it was something like, you think my family liked you, my family have never liked you.
Oh, okay. So you're
yeah,
getting hurtful now.
Yeah. I thought, I'm not letting you get away with this. So I said a lot of hurtful things, and I think I ended it with, you're dead to me.
Okay. So
Yeah.
So it's almost like giving him a piece of your mind, essentially.
Yeah.
So at that point, had you found ERP? Had you gotten the bug where you're like, ah, man, I made a mistake. I might want him back.
So I didn't find ERP until 6 weeks after the breakup.
Okay, so it had been a while. Had you guys been in contact pretty consistently since then, or was it radio silence?
I natted big time.
Okay, so you were going nuts at tech. So I mean, think of it from his perspective too. It's almost like you tell him all these mean things, and then your actions are like just like
completely
bugging
different.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did he react to the natting? Was it positive, or was it just like,
No.
Get away from me?
So after I told him he was dead to me, I think it was a week before his birthday, I basically had texted him just to say, like, it was like my closure. And his response was, why are you texting a dead man?
That's pretty witty, you have to admit.
Yeah. So I think I responded with something like, oh, you've been waiting to use that line for a long time. We got into another argument.
Okay. So it didn't even take long for the argument to develop. It was okay.
So we argued, and then I think so after the breakup, I got diagnosed with anxiety and depression.
Okay.
It wasn't nothing to do with the breakup. It's something that I've kind of been dealing with for a long time.
The breakup is just sort of not helping that, though, I imagine.
No, not at all. So I got diagnosed, and then I couldn't sleep, and I just decided to text him again. And he was being like really nice to me, opening up to me, which is something that he had never kind of done in the past.
Had you told him of your anxiety and depression thing?
Not at this point, no. And then I did. Okay. I think I'd asked him to come and meet me.
Did he believe you? Because sometimes men who are going through breakups think like sometimes women are just making things up to like for sympathy. Did he believe you?
I'd say it's like a yes and no. Potentially no, because of maybe the way I was kind of reacting to everything. That's when he kind of opened up and was like, we all feel this way sometimes. You've got to see like the positive in every negative. And then I said to him, did you mean all of those things you said? And he said, yes, you're not for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is hurtful. That definitely won't help anxiety or depression at all, hearing that. So did that spark another fight between the two of you?
No, I left it.
Okay, so you were just really bothered and hurt by it.
Yeah. And then I texted him again. Okay. I was in his town for
So how many weeks is this after the breakup? Is this like week 4 or 5?
I'd say this is going on week 5. Okay.
So there's been a lot of contact between the two of you. So you text him again.
Asked him to come and meet me.
Okay. You tried everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I knew, because I knew if he'd come and see me, he'd want to get back with me.
It didn't
I
work the
knew that
first few
because,
times though.
oh God, no, God, no. So yeah, I asked him to come and meet me, and he responded saying it wasn't a good idea. So I said, fair enough. If that's your decision, but I'll still be there. So I waited until like bang on, I think it was like 6:30, and he didn't come. And I thought, oh, I'm seeing red again. So I texted him another long paragraph message because I'd asked him to block my number. So I couldn't text him because if I delete it, I know his number off by heart. I delete the number, it's
You
pointless.
just know it, right?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I asked him to block it, and he told me to just delete his number. So
You're kind of like, well, I can't. I know your number.
exactly. So I ended up telling him that I was going to block him, and I did block him, and I blocked him right up until my no contact ended.
Okay, so you're skipping a few important elements there. So
Okay.
week 5 seems to be when you try all this stuff out, and then you're just sort of like, this isn't working. Eventually you probably go online, YouTube or something, and you come across the program or articles or whatever, however
Yeah.
you came into our field of view. You get the program and learn about the no contact rule and everything like that. So what is your approach like? Because sometimes people have a lot of false starts with the no contact rule. Are you one of those people that would get the program and just be like, I'm going to follow it to a T? Or are you one of those people that says, this part sounds good, this part sounds good, this part sounds good, I think I'll do those parts and forget the other parts?
So yeah, I'd like to say that I do follow it to a T. I didn't
Okay.
want to steer off because clearly you follow it and it works.
Is there a lot of doubt when you start? Like, this can't possibly work.
I think everyone's got that doubt.
Yeah.
You see in all these. So I'd gone on Google and I typed in everything. What
So
does this
you
mean?
were
What
just
does this mean?
you're just furiously
Yeah,
researching. You're probably coming across some other people and their takes on things that maybe contradict what some of the stuff we say is,
yeah.
and you're just
So I
trying.
actually followed you and somebody else, and her position was you do 60 days no contact, you don't reach out, and if they don't reach out in 60 days, move on.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That's a
then I
way to
came,
do it. That's a
yeah.
way to do it. I'm not. That's not my position though.
And then I came across yours, and I would go on your website 3-4 times a day.
Good. Good. I'm
I'd
glad
be
that the website got.
sat in work going through it.
Okay.
Like, need to save this for when I get home. I can read this. I can read this. And then I kind of just bit the bullet and bought the program.
Okay, so you bit the bullet, bought the program, and you do get into the Facebook group.
Yes.
How was your experience there? Was it because every time I talk to people, they seem to think that the Facebook group, just being around that community, seems to be that most helpful things. Not everyone, but most people seem to be. It's almost like once you see how other people are having struggles too, you kind of realize, oh, I'm not alone. Was it a
Yeah.
similar vibe for you?
It's really helpful.
Okay,
You see, it's just post after post after post. And I just thought the only way people are ever going to comment on my stuff is if I comment on theirs.
that's
Get
correct. Yep.
involved, because you kind of build it's like a group of friends who kind of have your back kind of throughout it all.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so it's interesting you say that, because my theory has always been the more you help people in the group, people will remember you and help you in
Yeah.
return. But most people, when they come in there, they just want help. They don't ever want to give anything in return. And it's
Yeah.
kind of goes both ways, I think. So you're one of the people that went in there and were like, okay, I'll help a few other people and then I'll ask my questions to them. Or you probably network. Did you do the battle buddy system at all?
Yeah. So I did that, but my battle buddy actually lived in America. So I did get paired with someone
Timing.
from so I got paired with somebody from the UK, but she just kind of just left the group.
That's
So
fine.
I just came
Sometimes you get that.
across
Right.
So I came across my battle buddy kind of, it was like by accident. She asked for my advice on something on a message, and then it just went from there.
Perfect. Are you guys
Yeah.
still friends now?
Since, because she got her ex back as well.
Good.
So since that's kind of happened, and with kind of COVID and everything, it's kind of contacts kind of dropped a little. But
Okay.
I know that if I, had a problem, I could go straight to her, and
It's
it's vice versa.
it's interesting you say that your battle buddy that got her ex back. Did she make like oh, I got my ex back post, or did she kind of keep it quiet?
I think she kept it quiet.
So it's interesting you say that, because all I know are the people who get their exes back that make a post about it or talk about it in a comment or something. but I don't know the people who keep it quiet. And I kind of get a growing suspicion there's a lot more than I even realize. The problem is I really wish everyone would just say it so that I could tally it up to see like, hey, this is actually what the success rate is. But it's hard to get an accurate assessment because of that reason. But anyways, we're getting a little off topic here. So you learn about the no contact rule. You're like, okay, I'm going to try this on my ex, and you try it on your ex. What do you do during no contact? Do you fail it a bunch of times? Are you like really focusing on yourself and energies and things like that?
So I had to do 45 days and I did 45 days. No problems.
I think that was a smart decision for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I did the breakup assessment and it said it, and I thought, right, well, I've got to do it.
Okay.
I had already started my no contact. So I was about 20 days in by the time I joined so I had to read the program. I printed it out in work.
Okay.
Yeah. Printed it out in work, came home, got my highlighter
you actually
out.
printed, it's like 700 pages.
Oh yeah.
Zoe. Yeah. Oh my God.
Chapter by chapter, printed it. And I just brought it all home and I just got a highlighter out and just worked my way through.
Wow. Okay, so you work your way through it. Are you actually doing something else other than going through the program? Because it's almost like, to me, reading the program just cultivates your mind. Are you doing anything like working out at all, or trying to meet new people, or just make new friends, or anything like that? Which I imagine is hard with the COVID thing.
So I got into walking. Me and one of my work colleagues, we'd go climb mountains at weekends.
Awesome. All right.
So
that's not walking. That's like hiking.
And we actually still do that now.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Great way to release stress as well, which I imagine helps with the anxiety.
It just clears your mind.
Did you also feel like eventually you get through no contact? You say you don't break it at all. Does he reach out at all during no contact for you? Okay. So that when he doesn't reach out, do you feel like, do you have any of these moments where you kind of step back and you're like, what am I doing? This isn't going to work.
No.
Okay. So you're real confident in this.
Yeah.
Why? Where does that confidence come from? The fact that you'd gotten him back before?
Yeah. He always said to me, I don't take an ex-girlfriend back.
And he did 3 times.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wasn't kind of worried. I think what worried me the most, which I think worries everyone, is, has he moved on?
Okay. So when you worried about that, how vivid are because in my experience, sometimes if you let people kind of imagine their ex moving on, they kind of always imagine the worst case scenarios. Did you ever have like nightmares about things like that happening?
Yeah, twice.
You did twice.
Yeah. So I went and met up with him, and he had a new girlfriend, and he said, my family really like her, my friends really like her.
This isn't real. This is a dream.
Yeah.
Okay. You said it so real. I was like, wait, what?
No, it was a dream.
Okay.
And then my second dream after that, it was multiple women.
Okay. So he's the ultimate player or something like that.
Yeah. It was horrible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you cope with those nightmares?
I have a diary and I just scribble in that.
Okay. So you're still getting through no contact. You're doing the hiking. What about internal mindset shifts? Is the way you look at the situation after you come out of no contact different than the way you looked at it at the beginning of no contact? Do you feel a lot more confident afterwards?
I think it's quite nerve-wracking coming out of no contact because you don't know how they're going to react.
Right.
I think because I'd had him blocked for pretty much the majority of no contact. Coming out of it was.
When you say blocked, you only mean blocked in like phone. What about social media?
Yeah, so it was. So he doesn't have any social media.
That makes a lot of our social media stuff kind of not matter,
So I didn't stop me. I carried on posting.
Very good. So I'm actually kind of curious, even though he doesn't have social media, did he hear about some of the things you were posting on social media from before? No, he's just like not even part of the digital world at all.
Nope.
Very contrarian. Nope. Okay. But did you get attention from other guys or something like that?
So I was actually speaking to somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah, whilst in no contact and whilst I was actually in the texting phase with him.
Okay. So you were the one that were talking to multiple guys then?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So you come out of no contact, 45 days, you're complete. He hasn't reached out once or made an attempt to reach out once because you have him blocked, but he also doesn't have social media. So obviously not. What is your game plan? Do you text him right away? You seem to have met someone else where you're just sort of talking to this other person as well.
So I reached out on day 47, which was a
Okay.
Sunday.
So,
Yeah. And the other person who I was speaking to was more of a distraction.
okay.
It wasn't, it was never going to be anything else kind of
Did
other than that.
did that person believe it was going to be more?
No,
No.
no,
So was that person also like coming off a breakup as well?
no.
No. So it was just like, so he was just being a nice friend.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, we don't speak now. There's no reason for us to speak.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
okay. So day 47 happens. You're still talking to this other guy, but you decide you're going to reach out to your ex here.
Hmm.
What do you say? Does it work? Tell me about the experience.
So my first text was positive.
Okay.
I sent him, it was I need some advice.
Okay. Damsel in
Um,
distress type.
yeah, he responded, I'd say within 15 minutes. I sent the text, put my phone down, and went out in my car. Just left my phone.
Okay. You
And
just
then
like, I'm not gonna do. It's interesting. I was texting someone a couple of days ago, and my wife had me. She wanted me to put together a shoe rack for her, but it was not like the kind of shoe rack that's like really simple. It was the kind where you're like, okay, I have to like screw things in. It took like an hour. But I was texting someone and I was really eager to hear back from them. It was some designer that I was working with for work. And I texted them and I kept looking at my phone and I was thinking like, God damn, why won't this person respond? But because I was doing this like woodworking thing, the time flew so fast that next thing I knew, it was like 10 minutes and they had texted back. So sometimes distracting yourself like that, like going out to your car, focusing on something else, is one of the best things you can do.
yeah, it really works.
Though I think yours is more nerve-wracking based.
Anxiety, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
big time.
So you're in your car. Eventually you go out and get your phone though.
So yeah, I came back in and I had a text message.
Okay. So how long were
Positive
you out in the
response.
car?
So I went to go fill my car up with petrol. So I was only out about 20 minutes.
Okay, so you just went to go fill the
Yeah,
car up with gas. Okay.
yeah.
And he had
Came back.
responded.
Yeah, yeah. So I waited an hour from his response time to when I text back. I think I asked 2 questions and then I exited. And he responded back saying, I think it was something like enjoy.
Okay.
And that was it, done.
Okay. So the bridge has been created. Texting
Yep.
phase begins. How does that go? Because sometimes the texting phase doesn't always go as smoothly as people hope.
So I'd say most of my texts were positive.
Okay.
Really chatty to each other. It was just natural. There was no kind of, right, this is what I need to ask. I'm going to ask that and that's it. You know, it was the way we used to text.
So let me ask you, you mentioned it was real natural. Did you ever, so at some point, did you even care about like how you started the conversations? Were you like really clever about the conversation starters, or was it just so natural that it was almost like you could just text, hey, and they would respond?
No, so I did everything, majority of texts that I used, I'd have them approved first by a mod.
Okay.
And then I'd always start with a hook. Always. It was never like hi, none of that. It was always a hook.
Were you the one that would start the conversations every single time?
Yeah.
Did that bother you?
No, because it's not about who starts the conversation.
I feel like I taught you well or something.
No, so yeah, I think he reached out twice. That was it.
But were you the one ending the conversations?
I'd say 9 times out of 10.
That's good enough.
Towards the end, he beat me to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
He started getting like, I'm gonna beat her before she beats me.
I think it's because the texts were getting longer and longer, so they'd go longer throughout the day.
Was it like an all day thing? How long did it take to get to that level?
I'd say maybe text 7, maybe.
Okay, so the 7th sort of conversation you had, it was like all day long. I'm sure there's like lulls throughout the day where you're just maybe like an hour or 2, no one responds because of work.
Yes, yeah, when people are at work, it was it'd go quiet.
But what kind of things would you talk about? Because talking all day can be sometimes challenging because you run out of material to talk about.
Yeah.
So what would you talk about?
It would be.
Was there any kind of flirtatious aspects to it at all, or was it just sort of more interest based?
More interest based.
Okay.
until we kind of got closer to phone calls and meeting up.
Okay.
That's when it would kind of get more flirty.
Okay. So how long were you in texting phase before the flirty messages occur? And who initiates some of the flirty messages? Is it you or is it him?
I'd say it's a mixture. It was
Okay.
more, it would be kind of, it'd start with humor and then it would just turn into a little bit flirty and cheeky, I'd say.
Okay. Um, and eventually the phone call phase begins. How
Hmm.
long into the texting phase did that take for you?
So I'd say I had a spreadsheet where I was kind of logging everything, and I only got up to text 16. So
16.
so I actually met up with him before I did the phone call.
Okay. Wow. So that's
Yeah,
fine. This is interesting. So who initiates the meetup?
him.
Him.
Yeah.
What does he say? Is it so you're on your 16th text message conversation? You're texting
Yeah.
back and forth throughout the entire day at this point. Is he just like, hey, let's meet up? Is it something like that?
He sent me a picture of a burger.
Oh, okay. And he's like,
Yeah, and
want one of these with me or something?
he said it was something like he sent me a picture of the burger and said, "Would you like to try this?" So I just said yes, not thinking like anything of it. And then he said something like, "Oh, I'm off on Wednesday. If you want to meet up and go for lunch."
Okay. You can't say
And
no
then
to that. That's pretty good.
no, I was on a week's holiday, so it was perfect timing.
Okay.
So we met up.
You met up. How
Yeah,
did that go?
fine.
Are you real nervous when you go?
So I was fine until I saw his car outside, and then kind of the nerves hit me.
Okay.
I got into his car, smiled, and it was like old times.
Okay. So just fell back into the normal roles that you're used to.
Yeah.
How long does this meetup last?
Longer than it should have.
Longer than it should have. Okay.
Yeah. So it was, I'd say about 6 hours.
It's really hard to end those early though, isn't it? Like because you're having such a good time and you're just sort of do you have that moment where you're like, I just don't want this to end. This is great.
Yeah. And I know he felt the same because he kept saying, "Oh, do you want to go here? Oh, do you want to go here?" So I know what he's like. So
Okay.
when he started doing that, I thought, right, I'm on.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're in.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you eventually do end it though after 6 hours.
Yeah.
What happens after that? Because sometimes this is like the tipping point I like to call because sometimes men just fall right off and then sometimes they're way like they're really into talking to you. Is it pretty much like you get back and he's just like immediately texting you again? It's just sort of like you hit another level.
I can't remember. He would have texted me when I got home. He did. He texted me when I got home and he said, it was something like, "How did you find today seeing me?" So I answered and I was like, "Oh, it was like old times. How was it for you?" And he said, "I thought it would be really uncomfortable, but it wasn't." And
Okay.
then the next day is when he rang me. So that was kind of like the call, like the calling phase for us.
What I find really interesting is the text message that he used. How did you find seeing me?
Yeah.
Because if you really think about it, it's extremely self-interested, which is my entire theory when it comes to breakups. Everyone always makes decisions based on self-interest. So he's making it almost like, what did you think about me? Like
Mm.
that's the first thing. He's worried about what you think about him. So it's almost like implying that your opinion matters a lot more than you realize. And then he's initiating these phone calls.
Yep.
Is it just do you hit hyperspeed at some point? Because I feel like you're getting close to like him asking for you back, or sometimes men get kind of cowardly about even asking for you back, and they're just sort of like, "Oh yeah, we're dating." It's almost like it magically happened overnight or something. What was it like for you?
So that's kind of actually what happened. Literally what you've said.
Okay.
So we had we started kind of like the phone calls, and we were never great on the phone together. Never. It was
Did
kind
you
of,
ever
it was
try?
uncomfortable.
Do you ever try like FaceTime or video chat?
So we do now. And literally 5 minutes before I came on to you, I was on FaceTime to him.
Okay. Well, see,
Yeah.
it's a lot better, isn't it? Like when you could see
Yeah.
the person, there's just something a little bit more powerful about being able to see the person and see their
Mm.
gestures and everything.
Yeah. So we kind of started the phone calls. They would never long, 5 minutes. He'd call me every day after work on our way home. We'd have
You
a short
guys
conversation.
mostly texters then, texting.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. So then he asked if I wanted to go on a weekend away.
It's a big step.
Yeah. So our biggest interest for conversation was bikes. So when we had the first meetup, he showed me his new bike. I had a ride on it, and
So bikes, like an actual bicycle or like a motorcycle?
bicycle. No,
Okay.
bicycle.
Okay. Sorry.
So yeah, on that meetup, he bought his bike, and I had a little ride on it. And then that evening, he was sending me bikes on eBay.
I wanted
You know,
you to buy
you
a
should,
bike.
yeah, you should buy this. You should buy this. Look at this video. This could be yours. Very much that. So I ended up finding a bike. He'd agreed to come with me to come pick it up. It was a 4-hour round trip. And the day before, he texted me to say, I can't come tomorrow.
What? Was he too scared?
So I didn't play on it. I left it for a couple of hours and just said, okay, no worries. Really excited to pick up my bike. I thought, I'm not letting you know that I'm actually devastated, like, you know, kind of
It's very
upset.
You were really looking forward to the 4-hour car trip or whatever with him.
Yeah. So I kind of just left it at that. And then I didn't reach out for a while. And he ended up reaching out to me with a memory.
Okay. So when you say you didn't reach out for a while, how long is a while? A couple of days, couple hours?
Yeah, no, a couple of days. It was about 4 days.
You had picked up the bike by yourself.
Yep.
That has to be scary though, you know, because it's like everything was going so well, and then it's almost like you see your first like little hint of doubt there.
So he's a mixture of a fearful, avoidant, and a dismissive.
So he's a mixture of like everything.
Yep. So I knew him pulling back. All I had to do was pull back as well.
And it worked.
Yep.
So he kind of, I think it's just more about giving him space to kind of figure it out in his head. But you eventually, you mentioned he just sort of like assumes the two of you are together again. Like, how does that conversation go? Are you the one to push the issue, or is how does that go?
So I pushed it.
Okay.
We'd had one weekend away and it was great. We came back and he had said to me, so what's going to happen with me and you now? Okay. So I had got some advice and I responded, and he said, I agree with everything that you've said. Let's just enjoy each other's company, but I don't want something casual.
Okay.
So then we had a 4-day weekend away, which was coming up to where our year anniversary would have been. And we finished work on the Friday, and on our way, he referred to me as his girlfriend.
Okay, so it just sort of naturally happened.
So I didn't play on it, didn't pick up, just ignored it, carried on as normal. And then the next day, called me his girlfriend. So I didn't say anything. And then the next day, I said to him, so what are we? And he's like, well, we're dating, aren't we? Like, you know, we're official. And I was like, okay. And that was it.
That's the best.
Yeah.
You got him back, and it's funny how it just sort of naturally unfolds like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do you feel like when you look back at the whole situation was most important for you?
I think it's understanding him. Like, before, if I hadn't have found the program, we wouldn't be back together now. It's as simple as that. I would have ruined my chances. So
do you feel like, so you mentioned some of the attachment theory stuff. Do you feel like that was something that you didn't know before?
Yeah. So I had no idea about any style of attachment, none of them. Well, so finding that out helped.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing actually how relevant that actually is. So you feel just like kind of having a framework to go forward on was important. It also seems to me like you're actually more confident, I think, than you give yourself credit for. Because one of the reasons I was asking during no contact if you had any doubts was because I find that a lot of people have a ton of doubts and they let the doubt kind of control them. You don't seem like that to me at all. Or do I have you pegged wrong?
I think as well, during no contact, I was torn. Do I want him back? Do I not want him back?
Okay, so you were just even at a point where you're like, I'm not even sure if this is worth it for what ultimately decided for you?
When we started texting and how kind of natural it just flowed. I mean, after, a couple of no responses and some negative texts, that throws you back a little bit.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
So you also feel, because I've been noticing this trend among people who get their exes back, where they almost get to this point where they're just like unsure if they even want their ex back. They're almost like, I'll be okay without them. You feel like you achieved that mindset as well.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
were like the 15th person in a row to mention this. This is why I think it's like, it's almost cliche, it's almost like you kind of got to get over your ex first before you can get them back.
Yeah.
It's cliche, but I've seen it happen in 15
so
people
true.
in a row.
Yeah.
So let's dive into last few questions before I let you go. Let's dive into that mindset. You mentioned you did get to a point where you're just like even considering whether or not you should try to get him back. is it the kind of thing that you can fake? Do
No.
you feel like you have to actually? So how did you get to that point where you achieved it?
I think it was just realizing how happy I actually was on my own.
That's a great way of looking at it.
My attitude in work, the way the way I held myself, kind of more. I was kind of seeing friends that I hadn't seen, in a long time. It was just I was becoming the old me.
Okay. So the key for you was almost like realizing how happy you were, not stressing about this relationship. Almost realizing like this is how happy life can be without the worry or stress of this relationship.
Yeah.
And
if it didn't work out, there is someone out there for me.
so having that confidence of that
Yeah.
really makes a difference.
Yeah.
Do you feel like now that you've gotten him back, do you feel like your relationship has been better?
So much better.
Okay.
He had said to me on that weekend where we became official, he opened up to me like he's never opened up to me before.
Really?
Telling me things like, I took you for granted. I realize that now. I wanted to reach out to you, but I deleted your number. I know my priorities. It was just kind of all the stuff you wanted to hear. And he told me all of that.
Okay, so he said it. Has his actions backed it up since you've been back together? That's great.
So, we don't see each other as much as we used to.
It's hard
that's work.
now with the thing.
But we've just opened up. This was his idea. We've just opened up a joint account together for when we move out next year.
Oh, you're going to move in together?
Yeah.
Big step.
So, all his idea.
Okay, so I'm really glad you said that, because it seems to me like the key for you is just having the confidence to give him space when he needs it. Like, remember how he did the bike thing and he's like, I can't come. I don't think, did you ever like ask him like why he did that?
So it was to do with work. They'd asked him to do a couple more hours. He couldn't you can't turn it down.
Okay.
But he didn't tell me until about 4 days later.
Okay, so he's worried about how you'll react. That's why he didn't tell you, probably.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But you reacted really well, this has been really eye-opening. I really love the way you put it. Like, it's just being happy without them and realizing you can sort of live a happy life without this breakup. Is there any other thing that you'd like to like anyone listening here that you would like, maybe one piece of advice you can give them if they're struggling through a breakup and they're trying to consider getting an ex back?
Buy the program.
Oh, okay. Great advice. We'll end it there.
It's as simple as that. Buy it. Everything you need is on there. A group of people who you can call friends who are going through exactly the same as you, because your friends, like your friends and family, they don't understand. Whereas you've got a group of people who
I'm just going
to
say this called Buy the Program successfully. Thanks so much for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.